Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak. In this video I'm going to talk about a update on a video. I think it's interesting that you may want to watch. I'm going to talk about the F-zone canister filter and air pumps that someone asked me for. Okay, first of all, I'll get into this fish tank that you're looking at. This fish tank belongs to Gil's Fish Room. He has a YouTube channel. I'll leave a link down below. Anoxic filter 1-year update. It's a 250-gallon aquarium, and his nitrates are between 20 to 40 parts per million. And you may think, well, that's high. But in Australia, 20 to 40 parts per million is low. You can never get their nitrates below 44 parts per million. But to get your nitrates down to 20 parts per million in Australia is really an accomplishment. So I'm going to leave a link. This is apparently Gil, and he explains his 240-gallon aquarium, how much he feeds them, and the Anoxic filter he is using with the BCB bags. He's using a sump. As you can see here, he's using a sump with loaded full of zeolite and set up as like an Anoxic filter. So next thing is the F-zone filter. I've had people ask me, how do you set up the F-zone filter? Well, the F-zone filter is easy. In fact, I'm going to leave a link below on everything that you need for the F-zone filter in order to set it up, because I did a video on it. So I went into the archives. The thing about the F-zone filter is it has the capability of a stronger motor you can add onto it. It has the capability of adding the phosphate pads to it. It also has the capability of you can add a stronger pump onto it to make it stronger in case you have a larger aquarium. It also has the capability of DC pump, which means if it's a DC pump, it can be set lower or faster, or even have a feeding cycle. I think the feeding cycle is 10 minutes, and then it comes back on again by itself after 10 minutes. Anyhow, it gives you all these advantages. Now, something I did not mention in my last videos about the F-zone, which everybody should know, that they have the old style, which has the black pump, which you can't buy anymore. But anyhow, the new style will have the blue pump. So that's correctly been designed and everything else. But one thing I did want to mention is the F-zone filter does not come with an intake and outtake. Now that you'll have to buy separate, whatever you want. You can buy other manufacturers that will fit the 5/8 tubing on the filter. I think that's like 22 millimeters, 22 to 24 millimeter tubing for the Eheim. But that's one thing I did want to mention, that you don't get an intake and outtake with the filter. You will have to buy that separately, where the Eheim comes with all your, tubing, your siphons that go inside the tank, your intake and exit, which is green plastic. But the F-zone, that's something you'll have to, if you want to buy glass, if you want to buy stainless steel, or if you want to buy plastic, that's entirely up to you. Just make sure you get it so it fits the tubing, which is your 5/8 tubing. So that's something I wanted to make mention, because I found that some people are buying these filters and they want to know how to set them up. So like I said, I'll leave a link below. Just click on the link. It goes right into my archives, and I'll show you how exactly to set it up. Okay, last but not least of this video, people have asked me, what's a good air pump? Now, I've had a lot of air pumps I use, I experimented with. Manufacturers have sent me air pumps. Some of the air pumps that I use have battery backup. And what we want to find out is how quiet is a pump, right? And how dependable is it? Now, a long time ago, pumps were, and I'm just talking a few years ago, actually, uh, pumps weren't very reliable, to be honest with you. You would buy a pump, and it just seems like there was a manufacturer out there, I think it was called Whisper. Their pumps weren't, for me, I tried their pumps out. They weren't any good. They would lose back pressure. They would lose pressure, and you had to rebuild them constantly. And to me, they just weren't a good pump. There used to be an air pump that was like the best, the top of the line, Science Giant. And the Science Giant was an excellent air pump. For those old timers out there, they remember Science Giants. They were very quiet. They were very heavy because they were filled with the gravel, and they had a can inside there with the air pump, and they were just made to be quiet and be very powerful air pumps. And they were the top of the line pumps. They cost more than a cheap little $15, $20 pump. They cost more, the Science Giant, but well worth the price, well worth it. They sold out to somebody, then they start cheaping out on them, and before you know it, they went out of business. They just couldn't be competitive or sell enough of them. And nobody since then has really made an air pump quite as good as the Science Giant, which was just, for me, that's the only air pump I bought back then. I wish I still would have kept those. But anyway, so what are our choices today? Well, I know that some manufacturers came out with air pump that said they could take back pressures, the membrane wouldn't crack on you that was inside there, because that was one of the problems they were having with air pumps. Flaps that are designed to be one-way flaps, so air can be sucked in but not out, they would fail. They just weren't very good. But today, the most reliable air pump and the quietest that I have found, to be honest with you, is the Tetra air pump. Any of the Tetras that I have tried, no matter what manufacturers have sent me, I always seem to go back to the Tetra air pump. They just seem to be the best of air pumps that are out there, that I find to be very reliable. They're a decent price. And even though they don't have a battery backup, and believe me, I've tried them all, even Eheim air pumps. Eheim air pumps are very nice, but if you're talking about cost compared to everything else, I would say the Tetra still beats the Eheim, only because it doesn't cost as much as a Eheim, which is a very good air pump, but it's a little expensive for people that they may not want the Eheim over. You can buy a Tetra, especially if you're going to just make a plenum and you're just looking to have a small bubbler. You can get a small Tetra pump to do the work. But that's the answer to the person's question who asked me, what is the best air pump? That's the best I have used. I have Tetras. I've had them for years, and they've never had to be rebuilt or anything. And sometimes I take them and put them on the shelf in case there's an emergency, or if I'm testing things out to compare one pump with another, I'll use them for that. But basically, that's all I wanted to say in this video, is to look at Gil's Fish Room video. He gives a 1-year update. He's from Australia, down under, with his 250-gallon aquarium. For those who are got an F-zone or thinking of an F-zone, go to the link below, and my video will show you how to set it up, what to buy, and basically everything I bought for it was off Amazon. Okay, so those of you who are in the United States, you can get everything off of Amazon. But that's one thing I forgot to bring up, is that it does have a speed control. It does have a shutoff for feeding, and you are able to use that pump by swapping out the pump that's on it. Which, if you think about it, like if you have a Fluvo, or if you have a Eheim or Owasa, you can't swap out the motors that are in there. You're stuck with whatever the manufacturer gave you. Where the F-Zone, you literally can swap out the motor for a lot more powerful motor without having to buy a whole new filter. So anyhow, short video. Until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Don't forget to subscribe, and happy fish keeping.